I have with me Dick Gregory, and I want to talk to him about the state of the black male, the black man in America today. Dick Gregory is a pioneering comedian and civil rights activist. He is a drum major for justice and equality. He served in the Army. He and his wife have 10, and I repeat, 10 children. He wrote a best-selling autobiography called Nigger back in 1963, and Callous on My Soul, a memoir, in 2000. Dick cured his cancer in path with diet and exercise. And we're going to tell you how to get to his website. Dick, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you.
Peace and love to you and the family. Thank you.
Thank you, man. You're 10 kids. How old is the oldest and the youngest?
Well, first, I'll start off by saying this. I'm 82, right?
Wow.
So my oldest is 55, and the youngest is 29.
That's amazing. You look good for 82.
Oh, no, I'm 82. My wife's 75, and we don't have a prescription between the two of us. But remember now, I didn't start out that way. I'm probably one of the few entertainers that's made it as high as you can go and never smoke a reefer. But I was drinking a fifth of scotch a day. See, I came through St. Louis, rigidly segregated, but it was a different type of segregation. We didn't see white folks, okay?
Yeah.
We had the rigidly segregated black neighborhood, and we had no reason to go downtown unless we was at work.
Right.
So I never ran across a white man that called me a nigger, because the white folks that came in our neighborhood, they was either bill collectors or selling something. And so they was on their best behavior. And so I came through, there was no television invented, just radio.
Amazing.
And so we go to the movie. So that was the only way I saw white folks, was in the movie. And at that time, they didn't use ugly white folks for nothing. So I didn't know there was no ugly white folks until I went to college.
That is funny.
And I said, oh, my God.
They were all beautiful, huh?
Oh, I mean, you take Frankenstein. They took a nice-looking guy and then uglied him up. I mean, it was when the mind started shifting. When I was a little boy coming through, Marlon Brando couldn't have been a star. There were women that's in the movies now. It had nothing to do with sex. They acting. And so consequently, when I came through, I had one of the fine minds on the planet. But I was reduced down to wanting to be a streetcar driver when I was a little boy. Why? Because Negroes couldn't drive streetcars.
Right.
And so when you sit and think about the reduction of the human being, and that's why I've always said the strongest two forces in the history of America has always been the black woman and the black church. That's how we survived it.
It's not like that today, though, and I want to get into that.
The reason it's not like that today is because we depended on the church for services. Let me tell you something. I was doing a show not too long ago, and they was talking about why black folks who graduate from black colleges don't send more money back, huh?
Right.
Well, but here's the reason. See, the reason we have problems, we try to qualify our problem with people who's not qualified. Let me tell you what I mean by that.
What do you mean by that?
My brother went to Notre Dame, right?
Okay.
And if he gets caught speeding and drunk in South Carolina today, right, he calls the Alumni Association, right?
Okay.
They call the sheriff. This is so-and-so, so-and-so, Alumni Association. I think that Notre Dame is playing in South Carolina this year. How many tickets you need? Okay. Now, these schools, Harvard and them, they give you a service, huh? In other words, if I move to California today, I can't open up a checking account today or bank account, huh? Because they got to vet me. One call from the Alumni Association, okay? Well, in a small way, that was our preacher.
Yeah.
We didn't know nothing about lawyers, okay? So your mother or your father would call the preacher, okay? And they would tell you, in other words, if I had a cousin that died in Mississippi and I live in St. Louis, I got to get to the black church, so they got to get me a P route.
Yeah.
I can't stop on the highway. There's no, and so when I leave St. Louis, the first stop I make, it was like royalty. That was the church's hookup. It was like royalty. They cooked, they cleaned up the house like it was Christmas, huh?
We do, but
And
let
so-
me ask you, do we need the church in that way now as black people?
No, that's why the church is power, okay? Remember, there was a time when you couldn't even buy a ticket to go to a Broadway play because Negroes wasn't in it. So where did we learn that? It came out of the black church. Where would we do acting when we did the Christmas play?
Yeah.
So all of that service, let me show you how it works. Last year, 98% of all youngsters that died drowned in the summertime was Negroes. Okay? And when you do the research, you find out that 98% of their parents could not swim. Why could not swim? Because I couldn't use the swimming pool in St. Louis.
That's amazing. It was different for me in the South. I grew up down in Alabama,
Sure.
and we just went down to the creek and jumped in.
But I'm saying
and
we
went
didn't
swimming.
have a
But you didn't have that up north,
so
yeah.
You grow up scared of water.
Yeah, that's
so you
right.
teach your children to be scared of water.
That's right.
Okay?
I want to
And
do
so-
this. Hold on for a minute
Yes.
there. I said earlier in the introduction that you look good for your age. At one point, you changed your eating habits, right? And went on and just kind of went on it wasn't a diet, but you changed the complete way of eating.
Completely.
And that
Yes, it was a black woman named late Alvina Fulton who knew more about health and nutrition than anybody on the planet.
right.
And some kind of way we hooked up, and she had all the information. You see, everything that I was doing bad as far as health to do, I learned it not from the Ku Klux Klan. My mother told me meat. My mother told me this. We would smell coffee. We couldn't wait to get old enough to get us some coffee. And then when I got to change this, it's difficult for people to change. Why? Because we have learned to eat for taste and not for nutrition.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we are, for instance, we are 12% of America's population. 98% of everybody in America today on kidney dialysis machines, 87% are black folks.
Amazing.
Now, we can't say it's a black thing because they don't have kidney dialysis machine in Africa, not because they're too poor. They don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay? Black men is 4% of America's population. 82% of prostate cancer death is black men.
What was the primary thing that you eat? What are the primary things that you eat now?
Basically fruit and raw food. And the one big mistake I made that I can't be forgiven for is in my book, which sold millions of copies, my food book. And it was the primer for the whole white and black folks on this diet that they own now. But I didn't know the black colleges and the white colleges and how the alumni. It's a service. And so if you went to Morehouse and got caught speeding and drunk and called, the alumni, there's nothing they can do. So it's a service that they pay into. That's why 30% of the white schools' working budget comes from the alumni. But they're not giving them that just because they finished there. They're giving them that because it's a service. And then when we start understanding, it's like our little boy, they say, a problem with Negroes, just like a bunch of crabs in a pot of hot water. Once one gets to the top, they pull the other one down. That's the hot water that makes the crabs act like that. Not my crabism, okay? And most folks don't know that. They just pick up stuff from that. Right now, they have a...
Well, let me ask. I hear that being said about black Americans who work hard to get where they are. And if they don't go back and do whatever it is they want them to do, they are called that. Are we, as black people, are we responsible for other blacks?
No, not really.
And so why are they called the crab? If they don't go back and help blacks, why are they called?
No. You're twisting what I said. I didn't say, I used that to say the crab is not pulling one another back because they pull them because of hot water. Look, I cannot swim, huh? If you was drowning and I jumped in the pool, I'm the worst thing can happen for you because I'm trying to save me.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with Dick Gregory. It has something to do of a fear. See, we keep twisting stuff around to fit stuff. For instance, if you was my son and you had a brain tumor, man, I can't cut your head open. But we think as Negro, I used to hear my mama and them say, a big crime. We didn't have TV then. A big crime.
Let me do this, Grip, because of time. Are you saying that blacks are not to blame? It is the environment around them?
No. I just told you earlier that I can't swim.
Right.
And 98% of young folks that drown because they came out of homes where their parents couldn't swim because in a racist system where I couldn't use the swimming pool, okay? What we see first, we are so special. There is no group of people that ever been messed with, beat, raped, stolen, and then the people that did it come back and pick me to cook their food, to raise their children. They see something in me. Can you imagine the Germans, picking Jews to raise their... They know who we are inside. They feel that.
So if when you say we, you're referring to the blacks. If the blacks are so special, why haven't they succeeded in the same manner or even better than what the Jews have been able to do after overcoming the Holocaust?
Look. Our slavery lasted for 300 years, okay? The Holocaust lasted for a few years. There's a physical slavery and there's a mental slavery, okay? Somewhere, all over the world, our black woman is the only woman that goes someplace called a beauty parlor because we have been convinced in our subconscious mind that she's ugly. She's convinced that she's ugly. If I come to your house to work on a book with you and my eye feel bad, you call an eye doctor. If my tooth is hurting, you call the dentist, okay? And so why are we the only people on the planet in America that go to a place called beauty parlor? So once I start getting that out of my head,